in the crowd.
We've got the anchor man from NBC News with us this evening, Mike May. And Mike's going to lend his expertise just so we can get some key pictures for the ladies and gentlemen. We have any gentlemen? Oh, there's Connor right there. Where's Dick Earth at? Being offended.
You said ladies.
You should say all of those in skirts.
That's
That's a thought.
Yeah, you and three. Come on out here a minute.
I'll take your patience too.
I don't know.
How much? Are you even now?
How do you?
You know, and it's so hard.
That is true. It will be an awful mess in back there. Well, you did get around it. So was I. So seemed like filthy house. Not another thing. We didn't get to look there. But we have 4 candles. Yesterday was
Oh, sure.
And I did.
This is the broad and top of that. No, it's this. Broad.
Look towards that man.
It was kind of good because the kids all laughing at that. Yeah, look at that. Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. I'd like to get a hold of one of those for myself.
Can you step up? Okay, Cindy, if you'll step back over here for a moment. Okay, once again, I want to have you walk in and let her examine you.
And you do have sound, so
Yes, I do have sound, but don't worry, it's not going to be used.
Oh, well, then I won't worry. Okay, tell me when.
Go ahead.
I gotta switch sides here.
Actually, you started out over by me, right? Or over here?
Yeah, I was going that
And
way.
Let's
we'll
go
do
ahead
the
and
meeting
walk in that way.
instead of that one I
I'm
know
gonna
of.
shift to this. Okay, ready?
Go ahead.
Good morning, how are you today? What seems to be the symptoms? Spots all over, a little bit of temperature. We're having a measles epidemic, so it's probably going to have to run its course, so she got a lot of sores left. Out of well, sweetie pie, you're gonna have to, oh, she's gonna get a little shot here and we need some done this shoulder. This is gonna take about 2 weeks for you to get over. No doubt about it. Keep her out of the weather and we're gonna get chill or anything. Just after 2 days, she looks like she's doing okay. Give me another call. Thank you. Bye-bye, sweetie. Thank you.
You know, it's really too bad. This general area where actually in the area where the Belmont Towers says was the fresco, which is beautiful.
If you're into these, I have on my bloomers. No, don't let it just pour down.
Could I have your attention for just a minute, please? So we're going to have our tour Saturday, or on Sunday, the 25th, in conjunction with the art fair, which is on Saturday. There'll be a lot of people in town. It's going to be a nice, beautiful, sunshiny day. You can say that now. Oh, yeah. And,
My grandmother had 18-inch waves. I wonder where it from. Shoot that big food, small waves.
I'll edit
You
that.
haven't
I'll
started.
edit that.
Didn't know he was, but
Now,
you know that.
perhaps if I could get you talking about the church or something,
The
looking at it,
church?
looking
This
at the
is much
display.
more interesting.
Well, you and I know that, but the viewers don't. So, if I could get you,
Viewers? What viewers?
we'll talk about that later.
Oh. What
I
kind
don't
of
have
church
any
is
right
this?
now.
Do you know?
I really don't. Has something to do with Charles Thompson.
Oh, it does. I wonder.
I like that. I like that with the photograph. But if you could just talk between yourselves, pretend I'm not here. Okay?
Okay. Anyway, I license say viewers. And they had corns everywhere. I don't remember. I don't know either, but they. I wonder how. I wonder how much fun it was to check the body. Well, yeah.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I've got a great idea. Hang on. Oh, excuse me, sir. Aren't you the proprietor of the local saloon?
Well, yes, I'm Charlie Hazard, my wife Curly.
moved here in Parsons in 1870. But moved the saloon from Ladore, 6 miles. Used 6 oxen to pull it over here in one piece. Had it set up over there by where the commercial bank is now. Pearlie, would you like to tell your first experience?
Well, it wasn't my first experience, but something interesting about the saloon. First Presbyterian Church started having worship services here in February '71, and we didn't have a building to begin with, so our first service was held in Charlie's saloon. We used bed sheets and draped the bed sheets to cover the bottles and the whiskey barrels, except for one barrel which we saved back to use for Reverend Cameron to use as a pulpit. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Quietly between yourselves. Nice smile.
Well, okay.
That's what they said last time we were here. Yeah. Hi, every time you come in.
Andy, get out of here.
Be nice.
Well, we're glad to see you again. You come back now.
Well, this is the second time for us.
Go back.
Excuse me, miss, could you give us your full name, please?
I am called Secondhand Rose. And then I just go into a song.
Oh, you're going to sing?
No, I don't want to sing now.
No? Okay.
And that's just all I was going to do is sing Secondhand Rose.
Okay.
I guess I could if I...
Okay.
Okay.
Here comes Maynard. Here comes Maynard. He can.
Maynard?
Once you get in this video, you can hold the mic and.
Okay, I'll need to have you hold it up between the two of you.
Okay.
Vertically.
All right. What do you want? You want me to
Just
interview
interview
this
me.
lady?
Well, let me widen out a little bit since there's two of you now.
Okay.
I need to have you, Maynard, move over just a little bit, and you too, Linda, just a little bit. Okay, now just talk between the two of you as if you're conducting one of your interviews.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
You want to, excuse me, okay. You have a lovely old house here. What is your name?
My name is Helen Bartlett.
And are you a married lady, Helen Bartlett?
No, I'm a single lady.
You're a single lady.
Yes, I am.
Well, now, do you live in this big old house all by yourself?
No, my father lives here with me,
I
William
see.
Bartlett.
William Bartlett?
Mhm.
Well, is he in business here in Parsons?
Yes, he is. He came to Parsons in September of 1874, just 3 years after the city was founded. And he came as manager of the dry goods store here,
I see.
as a single man.
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
Well, he certainly got married somewhere along the line.
Yes,
What
he
is-
did. In 1880, he went to Hannibal, Missouri, and he married my mother, Lucy Shellabarger.
Lucy Shellabarger.
Lucy Shellabarger.
I see.
Yes.
Well, how many children did they have?
Well, I have 5 sisters and 3 brothers.
Oh,
There was
my.
9 of us.
Nice big family.
Yes.
Well, now, you live here with your father. Do you work outside the home?
Yes, I do.
Miss
I'm a
Bartlett?
librarian at the Parsons High School.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, are there any other your brothers or sisters that live on Morgan? Are there any more of you on the street?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I have a sister that lives down at 1701 Morgan, Rhoda Markham.
Oh, Dr. Markham's wife?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, we're going to visit with her in a little while. Well, you've been a lovely lady, and we appreciate you taking your time to visit with us this afternoon. You have a beautiful home.
Thank you very much.
Let me, do you want me to just get you tight on this? Yeah. Okay, I'm getting some glare there.
Off that light?
Photos behind you.
Okay.
Okay. Give me a moment. I think you can hold that a little closer to your mouth now since I got a
Okay.
fairly tight shot.
Okay.
One of the more interesting characters that we've discovered on Morgan Avenue in the research was what we call the street peddler. And the street peddlers had push carts, and in these push carts they would sell a variety of items. One push cart peddler would be selling fresh fruits and vegetables. Another push cart seller might be selling pots and pans. But there was one push cart peddler in particular that we want to remember today, because this push cart peddler bought and sold second-hand clothes on Morgan Avenue, which was one of the better neighborhoods in town. Interesting enough, this push cart peddler was a lady, and her name was Second-Hand Rose.
I'm wearing second-hand hats, second-hand clothes. That's why they call me Second-Hand Rose. Even the piano in the parlor, Father bought for 10 cents on the dollar. Second-hand curls, I'm wearing second-hand pearls. I never get a single thing that's new. Even Jake the plumber, he's a man I adore, had the nerve to tell me he's been married before. Everyone knows that I'm just Second-Hand Rose from Morgan Avenue. I'm wearing second-hand shoes, second-hand hose. All the girls hand me their second-hand bows. Even my pajamas, when I don 'em, have somebody else's initials on 'em. Second-hand rings, I'm sick of second-hand things. I never get what other girlies do. Once while strolling through the Ritz, a girl got my goat. She nudged her friend and said, "Oh, look, there's my old fur coat." Everyone knows that I'm just Second-Hand Rose from Morgan Avenue.
Chris Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Excuse me, ma'am, could you identify yourself, please?
I'm Mrs. Eileen Sherman. We built this house here approximately 1890. We bought it when we built the house. We were proud of it. My husband, we came down here from Kansas City and built it. We're speculating, just down here, see what we can see what the land is like and see if we would like to stay. We're real proud, though. I am personally, though, involved with the lady suffragettes movement. We're starting to register ladies to vote. And we've done quite a bit. We've gotten over 100 ladies registered this last year to vote. So we're real proud of that. Plus over here, just the street, just behind us a little ways, they've got apple groves that we have, that did real well this year. Well, over 100 carloads of apples have shipped out this year to markets in the East Coast and such. Over here on just the other side of Appleton.
Is that where Appleton got its name?
Yeah, that's where Appleton got its name. The apple groves that was there originally.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Could I get all of you folks down there to come down here? I know you have to give up your shade, but I need you. All you folks in the shade, could you come on down here for a little bit? Then we'll get you back in the shade in just a couple minutes. You're fine right there. I just wanted the people from down there. You're fine right where you are there. I just need these people down here up here. We want to get pictures of you. Can we get the rest of you folks down there in the shade to come on up here? I want to wish you good afternoon, and it's not raining. How about that, huh? My name is Maynard Harding, and I'm your tour director this afternoon. On behalf of the Iron Horse Historical Society and the Parsons Sun, let me welcome you to Memories on Morgan. Our attempt this afternoon is a little more extensive than usual. We did Morgan 2.5 years ago, some of you may recall, with 8 of us doing the tour. There are a total of 58 people involved this afternoon, bless their hearts, and 27 actors. And we're going to try to show you a picture of Morgan from the early 1870s right up to today. And what I mean by today is that we picked out 2 or 3 of the old families that were in town in the early days that still have members living in Parsons. Now, we're going to meet some of these people when they were children. Some of them are in the audience today. They may have changed, but we'll ask them to hold up their hands so you'll know who they are when we get to them. Parsons was officially founded on March the 8th, 1871, as a direct result of 2 lines of railroad being built, one from Sedalia, Missouri, and the other one from northern Kansas. Where these 2 lines of railroads cross is where our city sits. This railroad was the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railroad. The superintendent in charge of construction was a young man by the name of Robert Stevens. Robert Stevens built the Katy Railroad. On March the 8th of 1871, we had an auction at a little wooden depot up here to sell lots for the new town company, the Parsons Town Company, which was formed by Robert Stevens. This town was laid out by him. The streets were named by him for directors of the Katy Railroad. Excuse me. The town progressed rapidly, and one of the streets, by the way, the one we're doing today, Morgan Avenue, was named for an Eastern industrialist by the name of J.P. Morgan, J. Pierpont Morgan. And he was the director of the Katy at that time. Barney, you were here, I believe, about that time, weren't you?
Yeah.
When they laid out the town. Okay.
I helped them pick the name.
Okay, good, Barney. Parsons was named for Levi Parsons, who was the president of the Katy Railroad, and a wealthy man in the East prior to that. But you know, when most of us think of history, we think of a major event such as the Civil War, or major historical characters such as George Washington, or Abraham Lincoln, or Charlie Hazard. Oh, you haven't heard about Charlie Hazard? Well, wait a minute. You're going to hear about Charlie Hazard. Now, I think we'll get this show on the road right now, but there's a couple things we need to do. Number one, I want to dedicate this tour to the people that now live on Morgan, the residents of our street, because of all of their hard work getting that street ready for this tour. And it's been a frustrating thing for them as well as for us to have to put it off a couple times. But bless their hearts, they've done a beautiful job getting the street ready for us. But there's one thing I need from you. I need for us to stay in the street, not on the sidewalks or the parking, but in the street. If you have children, please keep them with you. I'd appreciate it. That way we'll have a little room for the actors to move about without children being up there around them. Are we ready? Ready. Let's hit it. Let me get in front of you.
Keep rolling.
Let me get in front of you, okay? If you stay in place for just a minute.
Hi, Chuck.
Okay, let's slow it down real slow. We're no hurry. And everybody get behind me if you would, please. I'll be drinking again. Oh.
Excuse me.
You know, and most of us, this whole street's brick as we get up here a ways. And most of us think of the brick streets as being the first streets in town. But they weren't. These streets were gravel until the brick came about the turn of the century. We did have some flagstone streets in the downtown area before that. Let's hope we can find some shade as we go along. I see Tommy's got his umbrella there. He's going to give that to me so I won't get too hot. Boy, that's a dandy. That's to catch rain in. It's not going to rain, right? Now we're going across Grand Avenue here. Its original name was Gandy Avenue. It was named after Shepherd Gandy, again, one of the directors of the Cadies. You'd think we were a railroad town, wouldn't you? We have people here from out of town today, Galesburg and Independence, Thayer, Deering. Anyone from anywhere else? Alvarado. Did you ever think we'd get started on this? Had you gave up? Here's some of that brick street. It's amazing that it's lasted this long. Let's don't let them cover it up, okay? This first gentleman we're going to meet passed away in 1907. So we're going to ask him to come back today because he's got an interesting story that he wants to tell. Now I'm going to drop out right here on this corner, and the rest of you can go around the corner or past the intersection to the south if you want to. You can come on down this way and go around the corner or go past the intersection if you wish. How many's here? Somebody's good at that. Tell me how many's here. 25? 50? Huh? Hey, that sounds like a good number to me. Dean? Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, let's meet this gentleman right here. He looks like a distinguished man. Sir, could I ask you your name, please?
Senator Charles Kimball.
Senator Charles Kimball. That's a very interesting name, isn't it? Well, Mr. Kimball, the reason we ask you back here today from out of the past, we know the neighborhood has changed quite a bit since you left us, but this corner had a very direct influence on you and your family for a number of years. What's the connection with this corner and you and your family?
Well, this corner was where we built our first home. My wife and I were married in '78, and she owned a little home here, so we had it torn down, and we built a nice Victorian home here and lived in it, except we had a little bit of bad luck with it. It burned down.
Oh, my.
So we built another one. Even better, and lived in it for a while, and it burned down too.
All right.
So we moved across the street over there where I'm not sure, I guess it's where that modern structure is over there. Everything's changed so much. And built another home over there. And we just sort of let this corner be for a while, and we built that home over there. I recognize that. That was a rental house that we built.
A nice little rental, yeah.
Yeah, we thought that was a nice little investment for us. But over here, the foundation of this house sort of remained for a few years, and you know, Levette Creek was very polluted in those days, and I had several sons, and a lot of the boys were swimming in that creek, and we had some problems with kids drowning out there and getting sick on that water. So boys one day wanted to build a natatorium over here. So
Pardon me, what did you say?
a natatorium, sure you know what that is.
Natatorium, everybody? Anybody?
I think maybe you modern folks might call that a swimming pool, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah. In any case, we built this natatorium over here and for the boys to swim in. And the men could come down. We charged them a dime, and the boys, of course, for a nickel. And we had an abundance of water, being involved somewhat in the water production in this.
President of the water company here.
And so we had plenty of water, and it put it to good use. Of course, you know, we just couldn't allow the girls and the boys to swim at the same time. Surely you folks don't do that today, do you?
Sometimes, don't we? We let the girls, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't think you'd permit that today, but we certainly couldn't in those days, and we would make special arrangements for the girls to swim here, too. On special days.
On special days, of course. Well, I'd heard a rumor that at that time that there was a shortage of bathing suit material for men and boys, and that's why they usually swam by themselves, maybe.
No, as a matter of fact, the boys did wear suits.
Well, is that right? Well, that's very interesting. You're a very interesting gentleman. I was going to ask you, you were in the Kansas Senate for a number of years, and it is our understanding that you were the one that was instrumental in getting the state hospital into Parsons.
Yeah, we wanted to do a little project here, and there was a little movement afoot to get a small hospital started here in the city. I hope it's still here and doing well.
Oh yes, it's doing quite well, as a matter of fact. One thing that the rumor that's always persisted was that at the time that you could either have had the state hospital or the University at Pittsburgh in Parsons. Was there any truth to that rumor?
Well, of course, and I think we chose the hospital because of the fact that it certainly provided for more employment for us at that point.
I see. Well, that's where it is. Mr. Richard Dearth, ladies and gentlemen, would you give him a hand for me, please? Now, if I could get you all just to stay put for 1 minute and let me get across here, we're going to meet somebody. And I'm going to ask the people up under the tree if they would move back to the street, please. You ready? You ready? Okay. My land, look at this, will you? Isn't this something? Good afternoon. Well, you're a lovely looking couple, very distinguished and everything. Could I ask you your name, sir?
Yes, I'm Charlie Hazard, my wife Pearlie.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Hazard, do you live here on this corner?
Yes, we do.
This is your home behind us, then?
Yes.
Did you folks build this house?
Yes, we built the house in 73.
1873. Need a little more? Let me ask you this. If you built this house in 73, you were probably some of the early day residents of this community. When did you come to Parsons?
We came to Parsons in November of 70.
November of 70. Well, Parsons wasn't even a town yet, was it?
No, we just heard some rumors, so we packed up our building at Ladore and just moved it right on over here.
You moved your building from Ladore to Parsons? How in the world did you do that?
Why, those oxen were really strong.
You mean you put your building on skids and pulled it with oxen?
That's the only way.
Well, now, that is something, isn't it? What kind of a building did you move over here?
Well, it was large enough for a saloon. Retail liquor store.
Oh, I see. You're in the liquor business. That's very interesting. Well, now, ma'am, your name is Pearlie?
That's right. Yes.
Are you active in the community here? Do you do anything other than keep house here at home?
Oh, yes. I am very active in community affairs, and I'm a member of First Presbyterian Church.
Oh, the Presbyterian Church. Well, now, this is 1874. Is the church, are they doing real well here? Do they have a building and all that?
Well, actually, the church started holding worship services back in February of '71. We had no building at first, so we met in public buildings, stores, other large places. Our very first service, though, was held in Charlie's Saloon. We we created a sanctuary by draping sheets over the bottles and whiskey barrels, except one barrel we saved out. Reverend Cameron used that for the pulpit.
And you believe the Presbyterians met in Charlie Hazard's saloon for their first service? You never heard me tell that before, have you, Doc? Well, you're a very interesting couple, and I've enjoyed visiting with you. And this is Karen and Roger area, ladies and gentlemen. Now, once again, I want to ask you to hold still and let me go through you here.
Excuse me.
Dean, are you hearing me? Okay. You know, the first sidewalks that we had here in town were limestone. There's a few of them left here on the north side of this block. The brick sidewalks were put in place after 1901. The old catalpa trees you see were put on here in 1905. Why, I don't know. We'll walk on down here a little bit, see if we can run across anyone else. Look up here. There's a lady here on the sidewalk. I don't know whether she lives here in town or not. I would ask you to go back to the street, please. Thank you. Come on down, go on down just a little ways and we'll get to... Oh, I wish I'd thought about bringing an umbrella, but they said it wasn't going to rain. Need to borrow Joe's hat. He's got a red and white hat on there. I don't know who this young lady is, but let's find out. Good afternoon. I noticed you walking down a sidewalk. Do you live in this neighborhood, ma'am?
Yes, I do. I live at 1802 Morgan.
You live at 1802 Morgan. Dean? Dean? What is your name, ma'am?
My name is Nancy Dana.
Nancy Dana. I noticed that you're carrying a new baby. What's your baby's name?
His name is Paul.
Is this your only child?
No, I have two other children. I have a daughter named Fanny and a son named Levi Parsons Dana.
You have a son named Levi Parsons Dana? That's very interesting. Do you have a husband, Miss Dana?
Yes, I do. His name is Bill.
Bill, what does Bill do for a living?
He owns a saloon on Main Street, and he's on the city council.
I see. Your son, that is named Levi Parsons Dana, how in the world did he get a name like that?
Well, he was named after Mr. Parsons, who's the president of the Katy Railroad, who the town was named after.
Was there any particular reason why you named him Levi Parsons, other than that?
Well, he was the first child born in Parsons, and the Parsons Town Company donated a lot to us in recognition of that. And they gave us a lot over on 1802, which we built our home on.
Now, this is 1874, and you're living in your little house up there. and everything seems to be going pretty well for the Dana family. I thank you very much, Miss Dana, for visiting with us. And this is Cindy Jackson, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and welcome her. Here comes Paul Harvey. There's the rest of the story. I didn't want Nancy Dana to hear us, Bill. Okay? The rest of the story is what we found. We discovered that after 1874, the Dana family had some problems. Bill ran a saloon up on Johnson Avenue, but he got himself into a little hot water, apparently, financially. He got to running with a pretty fast crowd. In 1878, we lost Bill. He'd mortgaged that little house 3 times up there, and we couldn't find him by 1878. We found Nancy and the kids over on Appleton, about where the water tower is. Nancy was taking in washings and ironings to support those kids. She also did seamstress work. In fact, her and the kids lived there till 1882. Couldn't find Bill. Until 1879, we discovered that a man in Cooper County, Missouri, had foreclosed on a loan on the little house up here. Now, whether Bill was over there or not, I don't know. We couldn't find him. But I know it's a sad way to end the first child born in Parsons and his family, but that's the story. Okay, let's go on down the street a little bit.
Quick, let's move.
Yeah, come on down a little ways, everybody. Bob Bartelli's going to get his head burned today. Are we having fun yet? Okay, good. There's a lady standing up here by this house, Pete, that I want you to meet.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hardy.
Well, good afternoon. What a lovely old house. Just about the color of your hat.
Yes, it is.
What's your name, ma'am?
Mrs. William Sherman, but you may call me Irene if you wish.
Oh, thank you very much, Irene. Did you build this house?
Yes, we did. We built it in 1890.
In 1890. Well, it's a lovely home. Are you a married lady?
Yes, we are. Mr. Sherman, William, is a land speculator here in town. We're originally from Kansas City.
He's a land speculator. Can you believe that? In a town? Well, that's very interesting. Do you plan to stay in Parsons, you folks, or are you going to move along?
Well, we're thinking about moving on, but we're not sure. We're just seeing what we can do right now.
Well, this is a lovely old house. What I was wondering about, are there just the two of you? Do you have children, or?
No, no children, just us.
No children, all right. This is Bonnie Simpson, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm going to have to cross the street again.
Let's go around.
Yeah, come on down. There's some shade on the other side of the street for some of you. I wish we'd thought about renting umbrellas. Boy, we could make some money with it. Are we all down here now? John? Julia? You don't know anything about this house here, do you? I didn't know. My, now they get prettier all the time. You know who picks the girls for this? Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, Mr. Hardy.
This is a beautiful house. Could I ask your name, please?
My name's Helen Bartlett.
Helen Bartlett. Well, do you live in this big house all by yourself?
No, I don't. I live here with my father.
Oh, you're a single lady.
Yes, I am. I'm single.
What is your father's name, Miss Bartlett?
William Bartlett.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about your father and your family?
Yes, I can. My father came to Parsons in September of 1874, just 3 years after Parsons was founded. And he came here as a single man. He came to manage a local dry goods store. And he went to Hannibal, Missouri in 1880 and married my mother, Lucy Schellebarger. And I have 5 sisters and 3 brothers.
My land, that's a good-sized family. Well, do you work outside the home?
Yes, I do. I work as a librarian at the Parsons High School.
You work at the Parsons High School. Well, with such a large family, do you have any other relatives that live on Morgan besides yourself?
As a matter of fact, I do. Rhoda Markham lives at 1701 Morgan. That's my sister.
Oh, she's your sister. I see. This is Linda Baker, ladies and gentlemen. Did you get rid of hand for? Rhoda Markham. Boy, that name sounds familiar. I've heard that somewhere before. Okay, let's just go on down just maybe about 50 feet here. Or 75. Could I ask you to stay in the street, please? Well, my land. Look here. We'll get you on down some of you a little ways if you want. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you and all of you.
Your attire, you are a reverend, is that right?
That's right. I'm the priest at the St. John's Church here in Parsons.
Yes, sir. What is your name?
I'm Richard Ellerby.
Richard Ellerby, Reverend Richard Ellerby. Well, is this your home here, Reverend?
This is our home. We moved here from a little cottage down here at 1600 Morgan. In December of 1874, a man by the name of John Hills purchased this lot and built a home here, and incidentally, it was occupied by a number of railroad people. And about 10 years later, in 84, August of 84, the church purchased this property, and it is now the rectory of the St. John's Church.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, St. John's Church, that's a very old church in Parsons, isn't it?
It is a very old church, still stands at the 18th and Corning.
This is J.D. Bumgardner, ladies and gentlemen. Incidentally, we have a lot of information on the families and on the properties that we cannot put in the programs nor have the time for the actors to do. So if you have a certain house, if you want to wait for me, if you have a certain house or family that you would like some information on, just contact me. We have a lot of information. Good afternoon. Oh, we have 2 ladies at this house.
Actually, there are 3. One of them's not here right now.
Oh, one of the ladies couldn't be here today? I see.
She's out playing?
Yes, she's down the street playing.
Well, that must be another daughter, is that?
Right, that's my baby, Mary.
Well, could I ask your name, ma'am?
Yes, I'm Rhoda Markham.
Rhoda Markham. And is this your daughter here? What is your name, dear?
Julia.
Julia? Julia. Oh, and Julia Markham. Well, let me ask you, is this your home, Mrs. Markham?
Yes, it is.
We originally purchased a much smaller home that was on this lot from Jane Webster Ward. In fact, my son John was born in that home. And then we moved it and built this bigger, more grand home, and we've lived in it ever since.
I say, well, what does your husband do for a living?
Oh, my husband is Howard. He's a doctor in town, eye, ear, nose, and throat.
Oh, I see. Well, now, you have a son, John. I assume he's out playing somewhere, too.
Yes, he's down to Strasburgers. They're always down there or else up here.
That's very interesting, isn't it, John? Well, now, your son, John, do you think that he's going to follow in his father's footsteps and be a doctor?
Well, I pretty much doubt it. He's quite independent and has a real gift of gab.
A real gift of gab. Well, he would probably go into some other profession, and like a lawyer or something like that. Don't you suppose?
Sounds pretty fitting to him.
Miss Carolyn Schuyler Bush, ladies and gentlemen. Incidentally, for those of you that don't know, Julia is in our crowd again today, and so is her brother John. And they're one of the families that we want to talk about today. So now, if you'll let me get ahead of you before you move. You know, back in the old days on Morgan and Grant and Broadway, we had street peddlers. They had push carts, Joe. They'd buy and sell about anything. They had push cart peddlers that sold fruits and vegetables and pots and pans and just all kinds of stuff. They had one lady on Morgan, Teresa, that bought and sold second-hand clothes, if you can imagine such a thing. And I really don't know what this lady's name is, but I think after we get down here, she'll probably tell us. We'll get the crowd on down here in front of her, because she's got her push cart and got her clothes in it. Looks like she's getting ready to do a little business. Come on down a little ways, everybody.
I'm wearing second-hand hats, second-hand clothes. That's why they call me Second-Hand Rose. Even the piano in the parlor, Father bought for 10 cents on the dollar. Second-hand pearls, I'm wearing second-hand curls. I never have a single thing that's new. Even Jake the plumber, he's the man I adore, had the nerve to tell me he's been married before. Everyone knows that I'm just second-hand Rose from Morgan Avenue. I'm wearing second-hand hose, second-hand shoes that all the girls hand me. They're second-hand bows. Even my pajamas, when I don 'em, have somebody else's initials on 'em. Second-hand rings, I'm sick of second-hand things. I never get what other girlies do. Once while strolling through the Ritz, a girl got my goat. She nudged her friend and said, "Oh, look, there's my old fur coat." Everyone knows that I'm just second-hand Rose from Morgan Avenue.
If you want to follow me, we're going to find someone else to talk to, I bet you.
Where's it going? Maybe I want to get shot.
Okay, I'm going to cut in front of you right here. I see a lady coming out of this house. I don't know if she lives here, but if I could ask you to go back in the street, please. This is an interesting looking lady. I notice she has a stethoscope and a bag. Pardon me, ma'am, but are you a nurse or something?
No, I've been making a house call. I'm a doctor. Dr. Adele Doan.
A doctor? A lady doctor? This is about, what is this, 1903?
Just about. I would call it that.
Well, I get mixed up with...
Out of school.
Oh, is that right? Well, where did you go to school?
I went to Emporia Normal for a while and got a degree, and then was still interested in going further, and I'd wanted to be a doctor, so I applied to some schools, and I was accepted at the osteopathy school at Kirksville, Missouri. Graduated there about a year ago and came here, and I have an office over on Broadway.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, are you a married lady?
No, I'm available yet.
I see. I'm meeting a lot of interesting ladies today. Well, do you have a family here in town, ma'am?
Yes, my parents came here in 1883. They're at Salina and Fred Doan, and they've had a grocery store over here on 14th and Main since about 1885, and they're still in business there.
I wanted to ask you, I'm very surprised that we've got a lady doctor in Parsons, aren't you, ma'am? Are you the only lady doctor?
No, I think there's another one in town. I haven't met her yet, but I'm told that there's another lady doctor here as well.
You see what happens when you give women the right to vote? Now, I got into something here, didn't I? Well, Dr. Doan, tell me, are you active in the community other than your medical practice?
Yes, I do work for women to gain the right to vote. I'm real strong on the suffragette movement, and I also work in women's federated clubs and enjoy that as a pastime. We're having a measles epidemic, so I've been calling on a young patient here who's rather ill. I think it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'll bet they are. I don't think I'll get too close up here. Would you thank Esther Biggs for us, ladies and gentlemen?
And sir, with that hippie leg you have, I think you better make an appointment to come into the office later on, and let's get that knee checked out.
Oh,
Okay?
thank you very much. I'm going to kind of cross in front of you. You stay still for just a minute. This is one of the pretty old houses on the right. Look coming down the steps here. This is a lovely house. There's a lovely lady up here. Let's see if we can meet her. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My, you're a lovely lady. Could I ask your name, please?
Why, my name's Sophia Strasburger.
Sophia Strasburger. Are you a married lady?
Oh, yes, sir. My husband's Harry.
What does Harry do for a living?
Well, I'm surprised you haven't heard of us. We own Strasburger's department store, where we offer everything for womankind.
How about that? Well, when did you folks build this house?
Yes, we did. 1905.
It's a lovely house. Are you native Parsonians?
Oh, no, sir. We came from Iowa.
I see. Well, do you have children, Miss Strasburger?
I have two wonderful children, Harry Jr., who is 5, and Helene, who is 13.
Well, that's a very nice family. Pardon me, but there's a golf ball laying on the ground down here. Does it?
This belongs to my son, Harry. He's an avid golfer. Although he's only 5, he shows great potential to be a wonderful golfer.
Is that right? You suppose he'll continue to play golf the rest of his life?
I imagine he will, yes.
Is Harry Strasburger out there? Raise your hand, Harry. Where are you? Will you give Harry a hand, please? Now, Harry, we want to know, are you still playing golf? Just a little, Harry says. And Harry, I believe you're going to have a birthday before long. How old does that make you? 86. Let's give him a real nice hand. What do you say, Harry? Harry lives at Coffeyville now. Harry lives at Coffeyville now, but he was gracious enough to try to make this tour on all 3 tries, and we appreciate you coming back home, Harry. And I want you to thank this young lady who happens to be Linda Kaler. Would you give her a hand for me, please? Now we're going to take a short break right here. Now I ask you to
Get
do
some
one
crowd
thing
shot.
for me. Do not cross the intersection. We have the refreshment stand set up right behind you over there. And if you'd like a cold sarsaparilla or a glass of lemonade, we're going to take a real short break so we can get the next 2 blocks set up for you. That way you can get in the shade for a minute. Slow it down just a little bit. We're going to do something very interesting right over here. And if you would stay in the street, please, I would appreciate it.
Remember, point it at him.
We'll wait till we all get across here. Some nice big shade trees. Come on down. Did anyone figure out how many of us there are today? 60?
864.
Okay, I think we're all here.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I think, no, there's something wrong here. Something unplugged or something.
Testing? Okay. Is everybody ready? We've got 3 beautiful ladies now, don't we? I'm going to slow up for that truck to get by. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Are you keeping cool in that dress?
Oh, definitely. This is a very cool dress.
Could I ask your name, ma'am?
I'm Mrs. Verona Edwards.
And these ladies over here who are they?
Well, these are my young daughters. The youngest, Miss Myra, and the other is Miss Greta.
Myra and Greta Edwards. Well, Miss Edwards, is this your home?
It sure is. We're proud of this beautiful home. We just purchased it within the last year.
Oh, you purchased it after, well, who built this house?
George and Mary Nellis built this house in 1882.
I see. Well, this is a lovely, big, expensive. What does your husband do for a living?
Oh, he stays so busy. I very seldom see him. He works as president of the Parsons Commercial Bank, and when he's not down there, he's at the Edwards Opera House.
Well, my, he sounds like he's a busy fellow. I know our president of the commercial bank, he's a busy, wealthy man, too. Well, you're a very lovely lady. I wanted to ask you, I noticed the girls are carrying tennis rackets. Is something going on here?
They're doing their best to talk us into building a tennis court, which we have decided to do within the next year or 2.
Well, that's very interesting. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, the tennis court is built here in the next year or 2, and it is the very first tennis courts in the city of Parsons. And I'm going to ask Janice Brady to introduce her daughters to you. These are her daughters.
The smallest one is Janae, and the larger is Jolene.
Would you give them a nice hand for me, please? Now, all you have to do this time is turn around. Because I'm going to cut across here, and you're going to be... Oh, excuse me. Is that why you come out here to help me up here? Didn't I tell you we get prettier all the time? Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello there. Is this your home?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's a lovely house. Could I ask your name, please?
I'm Jane Webster Ward.
Jane Webster Ward. Well, are you a married lady?
I'm widowed.
A widow lady. Did you build this house, Miss Ward?
No, I just recently purchased it. A.D. and George Nellis built the house across the street, also built this one, and A.D. and his wife Sophia lived here. They built it in 1880, and I purchased it in 1883.
Well, now, you seem to be a very sophisticated, intelligent, well-bred lady. Did I get it all in there? Where did you come from when you came to Parsons?
I came from Fort Plains, New York.
All right, well, my next question is, what is a lady like you from Fort Plains, New York, doing in a little railroad town in southeast Kansas?
Well, Parsons, as you can see, is a beautiful place to live. But besides that, my daughter Cornelia is married to Angel Mathewson, and she lives here. And I also have a niece and a nephew. My daughter Etta moved here with me.
I see. Well, does your daughter and her husband live with you now?
No, they don't.
I see. Well, you're a lovely lady. I noticed that apparently you're using your maiden name, Webster. Is there something there that we should know about?
Well, you're familiar with the dictionary?
Yes, I saw one time, I remember.
Webster's Dictionary. The author of that was my father's first cousin.
Holy moly's, in Parsons, Kansas. Have you met this lady? This is Ann Kennett, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to stroll on down the street, and for those of you that have a program, I want you to look at the front cover of it. You can stop panning for a little bit and just look at it. I'm going to ask you. On the cover of your program is a house. This house was built by a man by the name of Angel Mathewson.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I lived in that house.
You lived in that house that's on our program?
I did.
Could I ask you what your name is, ma'am?
I'm Eva Mathewson Palin. And you are?
Maynard Harding, and this is Charlie and Pete and Harriet. Do you live here somewhere?
Not anymore, no.
You lived in this house that's on the cover of our program?
Yes, I did.
The reason I ask her that, you see, that house, when Angel Mathewson died in January 1914, that house was bought by Dr. Rotter. And Dr. Rotter took that house apart in 3 pieces and moved it. The only remaining piece, however, today is at the corner, the northeast corner of the intersection of 16th and Appleton. Now, the reason that this lady is probably here, she said she was related to Angel Mathewson. You were his niece?
Yes, I am.
Well, now, when Angel died, he left quite an estate. Did you get any of that estate?
Well, Mr. Harding, it's vulgar to talk about money, but I can tell you that I was comfortably settled.
Comfortably settled. Farms in 7 states, a horse ranch in Virginia, the Mathewson, well, wait a minute. Well, listen, since you're Angel's niece, could you tell us a little bit about him?
I'd be happy to. Angel was born in Fort Plains, New York. He was in the Civil War. When he was discharged, he was a colonel. And he went back to Fort Plain and was in the newspaper business. But in 1871, he came to Parsons, and he founded the Bank of Angel Matheson and Company, which later became the First National Bank. He had many business interests in Parsons.
He was a very wealthy man at his death, wasn't he?
Yes, I guess you could say that.
She's just not going to tell us, is she? Well, would you give Jan Chubb a nice hand for me, please? You got a beautiful dress. Most of the girls, by the way, have made their own dresses, including Jan. And I think that's worth a hand all by itself, isn't it? Angel Matheson was very instrumental in our community for a number of years. He was our mayor twice. He was state senator. He founded 2 other banks besides the original that became the First National. He founded 2 short line railroads. And indeed, he became a very wealthy man. What Eva didn't tell you is that Angel's wife died in 1899, and Angel didn't die until 1914. And Eva came to live with poor old Uncle Angel while she was in high school to take care of the poor soul. And at his death, indeed, Eva Matheson Palin did inherit the bulk of Angel's estate. It was she that sold the big 20-room house to Dr. Rotter, and Dr. Rotter was the one that moved it. Now, like most of these stories, I just want to take a minute and tell you, like most of these stories, they change over the years. And when we go to research these stories, we are very careful. I have heard 100 stories at least of where these 3 sections of this house were moved to. 97 of them are not true. But the existing piece is on the northeast corner of the intersection of 16th and Appleton. Many of you know area in Cornice, Ireland, where they lived for a number of years. Okay, let's go on down the street and see what we can find out. Does anybody hunt yet?
What a joke.
Really?
Okay, if I could ask the
I am.
ones in the front to stop for just a minute, and we'll stop the crowd there and let me get in front of you. I've met this woman before, I think. A lot of people are chasing me. There is, isn't there? We'll find out about this.
Be glad it's not a popping matter.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for Mrs. Busby. Are you Mrs. Busby?
I'm Lily, the housekeeper.
You're Lily the housekeeper.
Yes.
Well, where are the Busbys at?
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, I just wanted to ask them about their house and, you know, when they bought it and things like that.
Well, now, like I said, I'm only the housekeeper, and I keep my nose out of their business.
I'm sure you do.
I could tell you a few things about them. William and Sarah, they came over here from McCune. They bought this house in 1889. You know where McCune is?
Oh,
They
yeah.
moved over here.
Yeah.
Well, the house was nearly new because Isaac McCready, that's the guy they bought it from, he had just built it in 1884. Do you know what they paid for the house?
No, what did they pay for it?
You don't know? I do.
How much did they pay for it?
They paid $7,850. Now, that's a lot of money.
That was a lot of money.
Well, they kept the house just the way it was until, about 1893, and then they built on. They made this really pretty oak stairway in there, and then they put this big entry hall on. Now, I've heard them talking about some other additions, but, you know, I don't really listen too well. But, you know, when he moved over here, did I tell you that he was a commissioned grain dealer when he came over here?
No, you didn't tell us.
Well, he was. But, you know, after he got over here, he got other interests. You know what he got interested in?
What did you get interested in?
Well, there's all this Indian territory, all this land over in Oklahoma, so he started buying that. And he's just kept buying and kept buying and kept buying. I think they're probably going to move.
Oh, is that right? Well, what's so valuable about that land he's buying down there?
Well, there's this black stuff under it.
Black stuff under it.
I think they said coal, something like that.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Well, is there anything going on in town that you could tell us that we might be interested in?
Oh, I don't get out too much, but you know what happened?
What?
They have this new law that you can't smoke out in public. The ladies, 5 of our society ladies got arrested.
For smoking in public, that's right. That's right. Jim Crabtree, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's a little more to the story on the Busbys. The Busbys left here about the turn of the century. That black stuff underneath the land down by McAllister, Oklahoma, that William Busby bought, there turned out to be $14 million worth of that black stuff under his land. They did indeed leave Parsons. They sold this house in 1903 to Oliver Stewart, president of the State Bank, for $15,000 in 1903. Beautiful place, and we thank you, Lily.
Well, you have a nice day.
Yeah, do the same now. Okay, let me get ahead of you a little bit. You have one of those lilies in your neighborhood?
Keep an eye open for our next stop.
Right there.
Okay, the Barbershop Quartet. I'm going to want you to stand close to me because I want to get close on this. Next over there.
Huh?
Oh.
Oh, well.
Come on now, let's
Wrap
get
me up.
organized.
All right.
Okay, now this lovely old house is being restored, by the way. Now, we're supposed to meet with Sarah Woodruff today. This is 1887, but I don't see Sarah anywhere. But I'll go ahead and tell you about the house. This house was built in 1882 by a man we talked about twice before, George Nellis. He built it for the Woodruff family for $6,000. Mr. Woodruff had a mercantile store that sat just about where the State Bank building sits now. The Woodruff family lived here for a number of years. Even after his death, Mrs. Woodruff lived here. And if you look in your program, when you get tired of fanning yourself, you'll see that they sold the house to a family with the name of Ruman. And later on, the Workman family purchased the property. But I'm sorry that Mrs. Woodruff, maybe she left a note or something. Anybody see a note hanging around anywhere? Oh, right here. Let's see what this says. June 25th, 1887. Dear Mr. Harding, sorry I missed you, but I had to go to Oswego to check on our reevaluation of our property. Taxes these days are so darn high, we can't hardly tolerate it. Sarah Woodruff. Remember what Harry Truman said? If you think you've discovered something new, you just don't know your history. Thank you anyway, sir. The family that owns this is John and Wilma Aiken. I call them the Bob Bila and Norm Abrams of Morgan Avenue because they are putting their best foot forward in restoring this lovely old house. And we are seeing more and more of this, and you'll pardon me if I get in my 2 cents worth, that we have some of the most beautiful homes in this part of the state in this 2nd Ward. Indeed, there are a few around the town other than the 2nd Ward. And we are at a point where we either restore them or we lose them. Fortunately, most of them are being restored. Now, our next deal is that we've got some boys in the neighborhood across the street
Let's get them.
that have been practicing putting together a barbershop quartet. And I believe that they're on rule number 2.
Get forward fast. Let it down.
We leave home expecting to find a bluebird, hoping every cloud will be silver lined. But we all return. As we live, we learn that we left our happiness behind. The bird with feathers of blue is waiting for you back in your own backyard. You'll see your castle in Spain through your window pane, back in your own backyard. Oh, you can go to the east, go to the west, but someday you'll come. Weary at heart, back where you started from. You'll find your happiness lies right under your eyes, back in your own backyard, backyard. You will find, my friend, find your rainbow's end, back in your own, yes, back in your own backyard.
On my left, singing bass, Gordon McDonald. Next to him, our straight man, singing baritone, Pete Hughes. And on my right, singing first tenor, Marlon Hoffman, and singing second tenor, Andy Moore.
Yeah, that's a great job, didn't it? Come right on down here.
Firm grip on that thing, okay?
Shirley, you keep warm.
Let me see your, what you think. Got it, Jim.
Barbershop Quartet has a dilemma. And they've been appearing around town at different locations now for a couple of years. But they don't have a name. So they would like to have a little contest and see if someone could come up with an appropriate name for their little organization. And
My name's Jenny Lucas.
Jenny Lucas. You married lady?
Yes, I am a married lady. I'm married to Albert. Albert was a dentist here in town, and one of the best, I might add.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, did you and Albert build this house?
Yes, we built this house in 1908.
Buy the property?
No, Albert and I didn't buy the property. My mother, Mary James, and I bought the property.
I see. There's more to that story, but we can't tell it. Well, is there anything interesting going on in town that we ought to know about, Jenny?
Well, someone moving to town with children might find the new skating pavilion that was built over here on Johnson Avenue a nice place to go.
A skating rink on Johnson? That's Main Street, right? Where on Main Street would that be?
Well, 1300 Johnson Avenue.
Martin Thomas, you're the oldest guy in town. Do you remember a skating rink at 1300 Main? Well, you're a very lovely lady, Miss Lucas. This is Linda Schweppel, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to get back in front of you again. I hope you're having a good time, are you?
Somebody over here.
We need to start one of these ones a little warmer so we don't know what to do.
That's what I thought.
You notice the similarity between the house we were just at and this house? There is a similarity, by the way. Oh my, look up here. Good afternoon, ma'am. This is a big old house. Is this your home?
Yes, it is, but I don't know why you call it an old house.
Well, I suppose it's really... Anyway, it's a beautiful house.
Oh, thank you. We've just purchased these two lots in 1909, and we just completed this house in 1910 this year.
Well, what is your name, ma'am?
I'm Alma Bessie Piper.
Alma Bessie Piper. And are you a married lady?
Yes, I'm married to James Piper.
What does Mr. Piper do for a living?
Well, he's a farmer and a stockman.
A farmer and a stockman. Mule Skinner? Can I use it? Well, this is a lovely house. Do you have children?
We have one child, J.C., and he's napping right now.
Oh, I see. Well, you're an interesting lady. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes, I graduated from high school in Oswego Women's Business School, and I also am a graduate of the Chicago Conservatory of Music.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, your husband, James Piper, does your family, do you have a family that lives around here anywhere?
Well, we built this home next door for my parents, the George Pauls.
You built the house next door for your parents? Oh, that was very considerate of you. Well, you're a lovely lady, and we've enjoyed visiting with you. You have a beautiful home here. And this is Miss Reese Flynn, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one son, J.C. Piper, we've heard of him, haven't we? Because Julia Markham married J.C. Piper, and she's with us today. And we're going to go right on down the street here. And if you'll let me get ahead of you. not only a lovely old house, but a lovely lady standing over there. Let's meet her. Hello.
Hello, I'm glad you didn't say a lovely old lady.
Hardly. Could be. Could I ask your name, ma'am?
My name is Fanny Cooper Atkinson.
Fanny Cooper. Are you a married lady?
Yes, I am. My husband is W.D. Atkinson.
W.D. Atkinson. Well, did you and W.D. build this house, Mrs. Atkinson?
No, we didn't. The house was built in 1904 by Franklin Foster and his wife Alice. They lived here for 2 years. Then they moved to Fort Scott and sold the house to Dr. Pembroke and his wife Karen. We bought the house from them last summer, and we lived in it since then.
Well, that's, now, are you a homemaker? Is that, you don't work outside the home?
No, I am an attorney. In fact, I'm the first practicing women's lawyer here in Parsons. My husband is also an attorney, and we practice in partnership together. We've been working on something kind of new since 1913, and there has been a recent law passed, an income tax law. We've been studying up on that. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's a very unpopular tax, and it only affects the real high income people, so it's not something you're likely to have to worry about.
They may even do away with it, probably, or something.
It's quite likely they will, yes.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Well, are you active in the community? Do you belong to any of the ladies' organizations or anything?
I do, but I want to tell you one other thing about my husband. I'm real proud of him. He's the only Parsons attorney who has served on the Kansas Supreme Court. He filled out an appointment there during 1904, the same year our house was built. And in fact, I'm one of the few women attorneys in the state who has practiced in front of the Supreme Court, but not when he was on the Supreme Court, of course.
We hit a gold mine there, didn't we? Well, tell me about your activities in the community.
Well, I'm real active in the church. We go to St. John's Episcopal Church, and I'm active there. And I'm active in the Federated Women's Club. A group of several of us started the Fortnightly Club, which is the local Federated Women's Club. In fact, that's where we're off to now. I'm being installed as president for the coming year. I have served as president of the Kansas State Federated Women's Club. And I've recently had an interesting assignment. I'm going to be chairing the committee for the next Kansas statewide project.
Well, you're a very interesting lady. This is Miss Marlene Carson, ladies and gentlemen. There's one other thing I need to tell you about Fanny Cooper Atkinson. She died in 1916 at the age of 49. She was not only a lovely human being, but a real asset to this community. She was active in many things, political and non-political. After her death, the then Judge Atkinson remarried twice, man. However, sometime when you're going down Corning, just before you get to the underpass, and look at St. John's Church, the leaded glass windows in the front were dedicated to Fanny Cooper Atkinson by Judge Atkinson after he had remarried. Just thought maybe you'd like to know that. And believe it or not, this is the end of our tour. I want to thank you wholeheartedly for your support today. And I would like to ask all of the actors that are in the audience if you would come up here with me, please. Roger, you've got a new hat. Did you enjoy the little tour today even with the heat. We have been asked to do a tour this fall. The Fall Festival takes place on Saturday on the mall. It's October the 14th. On the 15th, on Sunday, the next day, we've been asked to do our Civil War program at Oakwood. Oh, excuse me, I'm a week off, the 7th and 8th. And I want to ask you what you thought. We did Oakwood twice. You think it's worth doing again? Well, I think maybe we might do it then. Our tours are sponsored, by the way, by the Iron Horse Historical Society and the Parsons Sun. And the Iron Horse needs your support. They're building a new museum and they do need your support. So if you can help, we would appreciate it very much. Also, if you've been looking for something to do in your spare time, maybe you're tired of playing bridge or golf or bowling, come talk to me, will you? Have I got a deal for you? We need people that are interested in our community and its history. And we feel this is a good way to portray our history. And I'm going to shut it down, and I thank you very much for being with us today. Our anxiety. Is Judy Boats here? Judy Boats. Judy Boats, would you come up here, please? On each tour, we give a Ted Watts numbered and signed print for the person that appears on the tour in an authentic period costume. And Judy has won our prize today. And I think she looks lovely in that white dress, don't you? So Judy, on behalf of the Iron Horse Historical Society and the Parsons Sun, we would like to present you with your Ted Watts print. And we thank you for coming today. And that's our program. See you in October.
Mm-hmm.
Can I go to my front door and say hi?